All right, ladies and gentlemen, here I am. I'm back. It's been about a year now almost since I've done anything in the wrestling space. 2025, I moved on and started working with Justin Nunley on White Trash with Money. We're still doing that project. It's still a lot of fun. If you haven't seen any episodes yet, go over to White Trash with Money on YouTube and give subscribe, give us a follow. I've decided to start this channel called When Wrestling Was Real. I'm not saying that wrestling's not real now. I believe 100% that wrestling is real. I believe these men and women put their bodies through the sacrifices their family makes, the sacrifices they make for us, for our entertainment. I want to take you back to when you believed every bit of it. For me, it was sitting on my parents' living room floor, staring at a tube TV, and by God, I believed it. I believed that Sergeant Slaughter switched sides. I believed that Undertaker and Kane were brothers. I believed it. I believed it with all of my heart. And I want to take you back there. I want you to have that same feeling. I want us together, and I mean that. I want us together to go back to the 1980s, to the 1990s, and my favorite era, and yours too, I bet, the Attitude Era. And I want us to break down some significant moments, some significant matches. I want us to break down some significant wrestlers and their careers and all the things that made them great. I would like for us to do that together. If there's a moment, a match, or a wrestler in history that you would like for me to discuss, talk about, go more in depth with and about, comment below. Let me know who they are. Let me know what that moment was. If there's that obscure match that Bret Hart wrestled while he was in Europe that you just think is the greatest match in his career, the greatest match in WWE history, let us know. We want to be able to watch it together. We want to be able to break it down together. We want to see it as well. This is When Wrestling Was Real. And I'm your host, Matt Lyda. So let's dive right into it. Well, guys, this is Royal Rumble week. This Saturday, Royal Rumble will be in Saudi Arabia. And we're going to get to see one of the best, PLEs. It's a Grand Slam PLE. You're going to hear me probably call it pay-per-view a lot just because I'm old and that's what I know it by. I'm trying to call it a premium live event. I'm trying to call it a PLE. We're going to get to witness that first big PLE of the year. We've already seen a big moment with, Drew McIntyre and Cody on SmackDown, but we're going to see that first big pay-per-view, the one that really it sets the tone for the year. It sets the table. It paves the path that we have to go down for the rest of the year. And it gives us then who we're going to see at WrestleMania. We are going to find out who's going to have that title shot for Mania. And that is that's what makes the Royal Rumble so special now. Is that 30 individuals go into the ring. One comes out, and that one has an opportunity to get a rocket ship strapped to their back and shot to the moon. Man, what an opportunity. And is anyone can win this thing. So let's go back to how this thing really started, okay? It was 1988, and it was the creative mind of Pat Patterson. Pat Patterson, who was an amazing wrestler in the ring. We know him more as the guy in the office, or I do anyway. When I think of Pat Patterson, I think of him being an office guy, right? And his in-ring moments throughout, especially the Attitude Era and stuff, were amazing. But Pat had this idea of, let's take a battle royal that he saw throughout those wrestling stampedes and whatnot. And he said, let's build a storyline around it. Let's make it matter. What once was just pure chaos and just, it was 20 to 30 men going into a ring, just beating the hell out of each other, trying to throw someone over the top rope. There was no story that was being told. It was just a spectacle for the fans more than anything. It was just an opportunity for fans to see just mayhem. Pat had a different mindset. He had a different idea. He had a different way of thinking. He said, I think that we could actually tell a story. I think that we could build something here. I think that there's an opportunity with the right people and the right way of doing it. There is a story to be told. As we've heard before, wrestling isn't about the moves. It's about, can you tell a story? To see a 30 men, 20, 30 men in a ring together, what story can be told from that? Well, Pat had a different mind than most, maybe one of the most creative minds ever. He put together this idea, this thing that he saw elsewhere. And the first winner, first of all, the first Royal Rumble, 20-man format, so it didn't even have 30 men. This wasn't even a pay-per-view. It was on USA Network. You could watch it on cable, right? Now, we have to mortgage off our house and sell a kid to be able to watch wrestling. But back then, you could just watch it on USA Network. What he wanted was the winner to establish credibility, and the winner that he needed to establish the credibility in 1988 was someone who was really over at the time, and that was Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Duggan was relatable. He was a blue-collar babyface. And Pat needed someone like him to really get the fans to buy in. That was the big thing. Can the fans buy in? They love a battle royal. Everyone loves a battle royal. But can they buy it as something that is an actual significant moment? It's an actual significant match that matters for the rest of the year. Can he do that? He needed Duggan to be able to help create that. So Hacksaw goes in, it's just nothing but just brawling grit. He had no strategy. None of the wrestlers really had a strategy. No one knew what to do during these things. At the time, 20 men, all of them massive. There was no small guys back then. And they're all inside this ring. They can't really do their moves that they typically would do. There's nothing there's no calling shots, it doesn't seem like. It's just, okay, we know who the winner is going to be. I would love to know if there was a strategy with Pat. Did he say this person needs to be gone first, this person second, this person third, and let's get down to this, to where Duggan versus one-man gang, let's have them as the last two to build a story maybe moving forward. I don't know if he even had that concept or that thought process at that point in time. I just know that Duggan comes in, beats the hell out of everybody. Everyone's just throwing haymakers. It was just crazy. And he's the last man standing. What was great about that, what was important about that Royal Rumble is that instantaneously the fans understood it. They understood the rules. You could not even be a fan of professional wrestling. Turn on the Royal Rumble and first of all, you're going to see all these men in a ring fighting each other, so you're instantly going to watch it. But then the rules are easy. No pinfalls. Throw the man over. Last man standing wins. Boom. This is easy. That first one, it proved that the Royal Rumble, that concept would work. I think Pat and Vince saw early on, this is something that we can make happen. This is something that can be part of that yearly run of pay-per-views that we'll have. And that's what it did. It set the foundation for everything that followed for the rest of the year. Like I said, it helped pave the way. It sets the table, sets the tone, especially now with the winner getting, a title shot, main event spot at WrestleMania. That first year, a lot of times it takes a few years to work out the kinks on something. That first year, it caught on pretty easily. The second year, Big John Studd wins it, okay? Now, Pat knows, Vince knows, if we're going to make the Royal Rumble must-see TV, we're going to make the Royal Rumble must-buy pay-per-view. If we're going to make the Royal Rumble one of the big attractions of the year, the biggest attraction of all has got to win it. So you're coming from Duggan to Big John Studd. And then in 1990, the man who put more butts in the seats, the man who drew more money, the man who made the crowd erupt every single time he came out. He told us to take our vitamins and say our prayers, and by God, I did it every day. He is the immortal Hulk Hogan. And in 1990, Hulkamania ran wild on the Royal Rumble. Pat Patterson and Vince knew we needed Hogan to help establish this thing. And that's exactly what the Hulkster did. He made the Royal Rumble where guys wanted to participate because the money was in the house, by God. sold out arenas, millions of pay-per-views. Hogan did it. Hogan made a battle royal of 30 men matter. We really can't discuss the Royal Rumble without, I think, the greatest Royal Rumble that we've ever seen, the greatest Royal Rumble moment, the greatest post-match interview in history with the greatest wrestler to have ever laced up his boots and stepped into the squared circle. And I am talking about the one and only. All right, guys, just want to say thank you for watching this video. Thank you for supporting this channel. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell. All of those things help me out, and it doesn't cost you a thing. Also, go follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all under When Wrestling Was Real. Once again, thank you for your support. Thank you for being here. And now I'm going to get you back to the real reason why you're here, to the video. Thank y'all. The Nature Boy, Ric Flair. It's 1992, the Royal Rumble. Flair has come back onto the scene in 91. He's left WCW. He showed up with that big gold belt, and he declared himself the real world's champion. Okay. Now, we've seen him in the ring. We've seen him having some feuds. We've seen him interfering with the likes of Hogan and Undertaker at Survivor Series, helping Undertaker get the win and to get the belt put on him for the first time. We see Flair establishing this opportunity to set up a phenomenal match and rivalry with Hulk Hogan. Well, we end up going into this 92 Royal Rumble and the belt's vacated. The title is sitting on the shelf, and we get word that the winner of the Royal Rumble will be crowned the new WWF World Heavyweight Champion. Well, Flair saw his opportunity, but Flair enters at number 3, okay? You don't win the Royal Rumble when you get the number 3 slot, okay? You can't survive that long. Flair is not a young man at this point. Flair's got miles on those tires. Flair's running low on tread. The gas tank is not full anymore. But he enters the Royal Rumble with a chip on his shoulder, okay? He's been told that he can't draw money. He's been told that he's not a main eventer anymore. He's been told you need to cut your hair and we're going to call you Spartacus and we're going to rebrand the Nature Boy. WCW made him feel less than what he should have ever felt. We're talking about the greatest of all time. We're talking about the Rolex wearing, the jet flying, the limousine riding, the kiss stealing, willing and dealing. By God, it's hard holding these flops down, by God. Woo! I am the Nature Boy. He walked in to that Royal Rumble with a mission. He wanted to prove. He could have went to Vince and said, I want number 30. I want number 25. No, what he did instead was put me in number 3. I had something to prove. And I hope Jim Hurd's watching. I hope all of WC. I hope Ted Turner's watching. I hope all of WCW's watching. I hope all of Atlanta is watching this. And Flair went in there at number 3. He lasted for over 60 minutes. He eliminated people like Roddy Piper, Hercules. Hercules is like 10 times the size of freaking Flair. Okay? He can bench Flair's body weight 100 times. Flair still eliminates him. And then it comes down to he survives the chaos involving Sid Justice, I call him Sid Vicious, and Hulk Hogan. And when all the dust cleared, there was one man that stood. And he stood above them all. He wasn't the biggest. He wasn't the strongest. He didn't have the 6-pack abs. He didn't have the biggest arms and the 24-inch pythons. The vitamins he was taking are prescription grade only. Ladies and gentlemen, the Nature Boy stood in the middle of that ring after maybe at the time, the greatest win he ever had. The most important win, I think. The one that mattered the most to him in that moment. Bobby Heenan, he sold Flair's desperation throughout that match better than anyone. And then we could see it and feel it at the end. And then Ric Flair does something amazing. He's absolutely exhausted after winning the title. And he's holding that winged eagle. And he cuts a promo that was directed straight towards the office there in Atlanta. He looked right into the eyes of Jim Herd. He looked right into the eyes of Ted Turner. He looked right into the eyes of everyone who ever doubted him. Shame on the man that cut his hair. If I was his barber, I would have said absolutely not, Flair. Shame on them for ever thinking that the Nature Boy was done, that Ric Flair needed to be rebranded. Absolutely not. 1992 Royal Rumble proved exactly who Ric Flair was. He was a 60-minute man. He is the real world's champion. And in that night, he put that wing-eagled belt around his waist, and he walked out of that arena knowing, holding his head higher than ever, without a doubt in his head, that he was the man. 92 Royal Rumble, it's my favorite. And it helped establish that serious main event storytelling. It's one of the greatest single match performances in WWE history. That was one of the notes I wrote, like just one of the greatest, in my opinion. When I think Royal Rumble, I go back to that moment for myself. Another moment I go to is something that we've seen repeated almost every Royal Rumble since. All right, guys, I know that there's a lot of skinny cans on the market. There's a lot of opportunities out there for you to be able to go get the alcoholic beverage of your choice. But if you haven't tried them already, I would encourage you to go try Zeros, okay? Unlike any other skinny can, this one is 0 sugars, 0 carbs, 0 gluten, 0 excuses. 5% alcohol by volume. USA made, veteran owned and operated. If there's going to be a skinny can in your hand, it needs to be a Zeros. Great flavors. My favorite, grape. I'm a grape guy. They have grape, they have orange, they have Moscow Mule, they have Power, they've got raspberry, and they've got cranberry. Guys, 6 amazing flavors from a phenomenal company. Go to drinkzeros.com to learn more or to order your favorite 4-pack. And remember, 21 and over, drink responsibly, but drink with 0 excuses. There's moments that happen in matches where you don't even realize it in the time, but later on you realize, holy crap, that became something they repeated and that they tried to replicate. You can't ever get the same amount of juice the second time you squeeze a fruit, but there's still a little bit of juice there. But that first time you squeeze that orange juice, that's when you maximize the amount of juice that comes out of that orange. And in 1995, baby, we got Shawn Michaels, and we got one of the greatest moments in Royal Rumble history. Shawn Michaels gets thrown over the top rope. He's got to get eliminated, right? Well, as soon as he went over, the Bulldog thought, I finally did it. I won. My moment. This is it. But in Shawn Michaels fashion, only 1 foot hit the ground. You see, you got to get 2. And in this moment, the rules are now part of the storyline where we're all confused. Wait a minute. He was eliminated. What do you mean he's coming back in? What do you mean he gets to keep going? I thought his foot hit the ground. No, wait a second. You need 2 feet to hit the ground. I'll be daggum. Now the rules are part of the match. They're part of the storyline. So Shawn Michaels does what he does best. He breaks hearts. Davey Boy turns around. And there's Shawn. The part that people forget throughout that whole 1995 Royal Rumble, they remember the 1 foot. They remember the super kick. He entered number 1, ladies and gentlemen. He was the first person to walk into the ring that night. You think that you're not supposed to win at number 3? Try number 1. That means you're there all night long. You're in that ring the entire time. He only wrestled for about 30, I think it was, looking up, it was 38 minutes is what he ended up wrestling. But he went bell to bell. And if that bell to bell is freaking 30 minutes or 60 minutes or 90 minutes or just 38 minutes, it's still bell to bell. You survived. You survived against 29 other powerhouses, especially Davey Boy. He eliminated people like Owen Hart and Greg the Hammer Valentine. He had a hell of a night. And he had a moment that we've tried to recreate ever since. This will be, 31 years since that one? And 31 times since. We have tried to get the 1 foot to hit and to get the same pop and the same reaction and the same craziness. It's a little expected now, and that's unfortunate. but Shawn did it first, and he did it better than anyone else, in my opinion. Funny part about all of that, too, was, and I wrote this down, the watch the feet psychology. What ends up happening now is you'll get a guy that goes over, and if he's hanging, the commentator will say, watch his feet, watch his feet, watch the feet. Do they both touch? And we'll always get that camera angle. We're going to get it this Saturday. We're going to get it this Saturday, I swear. Who do you think is going to be the person that goes over, that hangs there, and his feet don't touch? Who do you think it's going to be? Of course, we're all going to be, thinking that maybe, our favorite wrestler is going to win. And then, a big name like a LA Knights or whatever, Logan Paul's, whoever is going to be that person, that commentary is going to happen. It's going to happen. Their feet are going to be this close to hitting the mat. We're going to get that close-up camera angle. It's going to happen. Happens every year, it seems like. Guarantee it's going to happen this year. But remember, when you're watching it, just remember 1995, Shawn Michaels, first one to do it. He established it. He established it as a big moment. Rules became part of the storyline. Now, number 5 for me is Mount Rushmore guy for me. He's the face of the Attitude Era. And when you think about Royal Rumbles, a lot of novice fans don't really think about this guy. But he's the only 3-time winner. 1997, 1998, and 2001, we're talking about Stone Cold Steve Austin, the Rattlesnake himself. He ended up, throughout his 3 wins, he eliminated the likes of The Rock, Triple H, Kane, Vader, Hall of Famers, Hall of freaking Famers, okay? And all 3 wins led directly to him having a WrestleMania main event match. It made where the Attitude Era, these are the smartest fans the industry has ever seen at this point, okay? These fans are just crazy. They needed the Royal Rumble to matter more than any other era because they went into it as they loved seeing these one-on-one matches or these tag team matches with the likes of the Hardys and the Dudleys and Christian and Edge and all this, right? Like they needed it to matter and for it to be a real storyline. We were living in these stories. These stories were being talked about at the water coolers on Monday mornings and on Tuesday mornings especially. So we needed a good story. We needed a good storyline. And we needed another Hulk Hogan to establish this thing for this next generation. Stone Cold definitely did that. He took that torch in 1997, back to back in 98. And then 3 years later, does it again in 2001. And now you've got your biggest star that's actually out there winning it, which makes it must watch. People have to watch at that point if they know that Stone Cold's going to be in it. Stone Cold did what he did best. He came in, it was a bar fight. You think about it, the Royal Rumble is built for Stone Cold. It is a bar fight. That's all it is. It's a massive bar fight. I've been on 1 bar fight, but 2 my entire life. It's chaos. It didn't become chaos for me in that sense. It wasn't 30 men fighting each other, but it could become chaos. And dadgum Stone Cold Steve Austin. He seems like the type of guy that's been in a few bar fights. He seems like the type of guy that likes chaos too. You know what I mean? He took that aggressive time, that era during the Attitude Era, that aggressiveness that we had, and he applied it to the Royal Rumble. What was a battle royal of a bunch of guys beating each other up? He said, let's make this a bar fight. That's what he did. That, to me, is the perfect person for a Royal Rumble, if you ask my opinion. So in baseball, we have Mr. October, Reggie Jackson. In professional wrestling, we have Mr. January, and that's Stone Cold Steve Austin, 3-time Royal Rumble champion. He made it feel like it was a main event title match. That's what Stone Cold did. He made you feel something. He made you believe it. When he was in the ring, wrestling was real. And my last memorable moment was, this is an 80s, 90s, and Attitude Era type of show, but I would be remiss if I didn't mention 2008. 2008 was the first time we saw someone make a big comeback. Now we see it every single Royal Rumble. Legends or people making a return or someone from other wrestling organizations come over and participate in the Royal Rumble. I love it. That's one of my favorite parts about the Royal Rumble is what legend, what person who's been on the shelf, rehabbing or whatever, that's going to come back and make that appearance. I get super excited about that. So 2008, we have John Cena. John Cena shows up. He's been on the shelf for a while. He's got a handful of months before he should be back, Okay. Let's just call it 4 months. He's supposed to be rehabbing for another 4 months. No. Cena knew that WWE, he knew that Royal Rumble needed him in that moment. He had to come back because he knew that the company was going to have to be carried into the next generation by someone. And he was that guy. He was already the guy at that point, but he really wanted to show the world who he really was. And I think he also wanted to show WWE who he really was. So what did he do? Man, he rolled into the Big Apple. He went down to Times Square. He shot over to Madison Square Garden, and he comes out months ahead of schedule. Cena's number 30. He comes in last. They waited all the way to the end. No one has any idea what's about to happen. And the 17-time GOAT shows up on the biggest stage in sports venue history at Madison Square Garden. And he establishes something that becomes a Royal Rumble yearly event, which is the return of a wrestler, whether it be a legend, whether it be someone rehabbing. He did that. Now he comes out, he eliminates Carlito, eliminates Umaga. The final man standing in front of him is none other than a future WWE Hall of Famer. The Game, Triple H, Hunter Hearst Helmsley, stands across from him in that ring. And that's John Cena's prize for coming back early. But what does he do? He eliminates Triple H. It was clean, it was decisive, and it established John Cena as a main eventer like he had never been before. It was maybe one of the loudest pops in WWE history when he came out. Go back and watch it. It's one of the best. We talk about the Road Warrior pop. That night, 2008, Madison Square Garden, New York, New York, we had the Cena pop, a pop like no other, a pop that was heard around the world, a pop that we didn't realize then was going to be something that became an annual tradition. I'm not the biggest Cena fan in the world, but that moment, it runs chills down your back. I don't care who you are. And it also makes you realize that the element of surprise might be arguably the greatest part of professional wrestling. And that night we had an element of surprise like we had never seen before. So thank you, Cena, for that night. Well, guys, we kind of ran through the Royal Rumble here. Got a little bit of history, got a little bit of some 5-6 moments that were big. 1988, introduction to the Royal Rumble. We got to see if the concept would actually work, and it did. Easy rules to understand, craziness and chaos in the ring that ended up eventually turning into the ability to build storylines. It gave us an opportunity to set the table for the year and pave the way for the next superstars. That first year, Hacksaw Jim Duggan ends up winning. Big John Studd the following year, and then in 1990, the man himself, Hulk Hogan, wins the Royal Rumble. It becomes a main event once Hulk Hogan wins it. It becomes newsworthy. It becomes must-watch TV. It becomes a must-watch pay-per-view. It slowly at that point starts becoming one of the Grand Slams. So in 92, I think the greatest Royal Rumble that we ever got to see, with Ric Flair winning it, maybe the best post-interview in Royal Rumble history, and I would say it's right up there with one of the greatest post-win interviews of all time. Austin 316 is the number one in my opinion, but Flair's post-92 Rumble promo, man, what a great moment. What a great moment for him. He deserved it. In 95, we've got Shawn Michaels, toe touch. Watch the feet. We're going to hear it this Saturday. Someone is going to almost hit the mat. Thank you, Shawn Michaels, for that moment. Entering number one and going bell to bell. Attitude Era, Mr. January, Stone Cold Steve Austin. He comes in, establishes the Royal Rumble as title worthy, main event worthy, and all three of those wins led to him being a WrestleMania main eventer. And then, of course, John Cena with the shock and spectacle in the Madison Square Garden. John Cena just doing what John Cena does, which is just blow the doors off the place and take the roof off of it all at the same time. That's why he's a 17-time. That's why he is arguably the greatest of all time. Ladies and gentlemen, the Royal Rumble, to me, is one of the funnest PLEs, pay-per-views out there. It's, in my opinion, it gives us that opportunity to see young talent have a chance to do something that they wouldn't get a chance to do otherwise, a chance to win a 30-man battle royal, to give yourself an opportunity to wrestle for the title, main event, WrestleMania. You don't get those opportunities every day. So good luck to everyone that's going to be entering that ring this Saturday night. I hope we see one of the greatest Royal Rumbles of all time. It's going to be in Saudi Arabia, so you know it's going to be wild. You know there's going to be surprises. I'm excited. The men and women, I cannot wait to see what legends show up. I can't wait to see what surprises happen. I'll be sitting back and watching, and I hope you will be too. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me. Thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting. And remember, God is real and so is wrestling. And I hopefully was able to take you back to when wrestling was real. Y'all subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Make some comments down below. Tell me how bad I am. I don't care. I love hearing from you. I love good criticism. It's my favorite thing in the world. All right, guys. Till next week, I'll see you then.